showing a bit of leggage.
Yeah. Hi guys, it's Carly here, and I'm here with the amazing Sam and Nick Chapman, who together make up the sensation that is Pixiwoo, and they are the co-creators, co-founders of the makeup brushes and makeup tools Real Techniques. So we're going to be asking them a few questions today. We'll try and save some time for questions from you. So if you have any, make sure that you pop them down below. But first, let's start with some of the newest launches that we're going to be seeing from Real Techniques.
Okay, so next season there's a lot of sponges. So we've brought out some lovely, people are trying to use sponges a bit more, so we've made it a little bit easier. Our Miracle Complexion Sponge is our #1 seller. So we know that people are loving them. It's kind of a step between brushes and gets them started using brushes. So we have the new mini.
Look how cute they
Who
are.
doesn't love mini stuff? The new mini.
Okay, wait, so those for foundation?
They can be for foundation, they can be for contour, they can be for fitting under the eyes, they can also be for blending.
Okay.
Anything. They can be used for so many different things, for blemishes. And you have...
These are the sculpting sponges.
Oh, hello.
Like really epically shaped, unusual.
Yeah, talk me through that shape.
Well, you can use this big end, you can use that for applying your foundation, and then you have this mini size at the end here, which is great for kind of sculpting, shaping
so
the
you
face.
can put that into like what, like a cream contour
Yeah,
colour?
totally. Yeah, so you just flip it over, and you can do your sculpting at the other end.
Amazing. So sponges are the new thing.
People seem to love them. You know, it's like a great transition to move on to brushes next. They're easy to carry around, they look
super
good,
affordable.
They apply makeup so nicely. If you use a sponge wet, then you can use it for foundation. If you use it dry, you can use it for powder, and it just applies, for a powder it will apply a little bit more product, so they can be used wet or dry, and they're just so fantastic and people seem to love them.
Okay, so watch out for the sponges, guys. Now, Real Techniques has an amazing range of brushes, and I think you said before there's 50?
Yeah.
There's 50. If you had to pick one each, what would it be and why?
We both have the same favourite, which is the setting brush.
Which isn't out here.
Which
So
we
I
don't
can't
have
show
out
you.
here. I'll show you, but
So
basically-
Google the Real Techniques setting brush to know the one they're talking about.
It's like a little powder brush, so it fits perfectly under the eyes. It's great for contouring. It's a great brush to take with you when you're on the move. You just need to powder a little bit, which I probably need to do right now. It's great, but yeah, that's probably our
I
favourite.
really love the Bold Metals 100 brush because, and I use this a lot. I've got quite dry skin, so I'm not massively into powdering my face. But if I do, I'm going to do it only on the T-zone in specific areas. But
Right,
mostly,
and that helps you.
This is great. Mostly I use this brush for bronzing. That's what I really love it for, because you can use it. Oh, here we go.
We found a
It's
setting brush.
Setting brush.
Oh, it's much smaller than I
It's
thought it
perfect.
to be.
Teeny
bright.
little brush. But what I love about this is that you've got this very, very narrow profile and then this really fat width. So you can use it for bronzing, tops of the cheekbones, but also for sculpting and shaping around
Right,
the
so
face.
it's quite
That's
versatile.
great. Yeah, I love
So now,
that.
if you're using it for so many different things, you know, you're going from maybe a translucent powder
Yeah.
to a bronzer to maybe even a blush. How are you cleaning them in between? Because I mean, that is such a beautiful brush. So
Well,
how are
you
you
use
cleaning
the
your makeup
light
brushes?
powder first,
Yeah.
and then you use your your darker colour afterwards. And really, if you're only using your brushes on yourself, then you can get away with washing them maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. And really, in between, you can just clean
Dust
them
it over.
on a kitchen towel or whatever, just to take off any excess.
Easy.
Yeah, super easy.
Okay, so now thank you for limiting to the one, but now I'm going to give you 2 more each.
Okay.
So, these are the only 3 makeup brushes you could ever use for the rest of time.
This one, which is our expert face brush.
Yes.
I mean, it's actually a big seller for us, but that's because it's a brilliant brush. It makes applying foundation so easy and so
I use that
fast.
one and it is fabulous.
It's
I can
amazing.
attest to that.
It really is incredible. And it's a whole new different way of putting your foundation on. Before this brush came about, it was really just those big flat foundation brushes. Do you know the ones that
Yes.
you kind of
Like a
painting
paintbrush.
it? Yeah, you were painting it on your face. Sorry about the noise.
I'm asking someone to get me a brush.
You can't get the
She
stop
tried to
these
do
days.
it quietly but dropped it. Secretly one appears.
That's a mini fail. So, back to the brushes, which are really amazing. This one, you use it to buff the foundation in rather than painting it on. So, yeah, you get a much more natural finish.
Awesome.
Mine is the contour brush. I absolutely love this brush. It's a sculpting brush. It's perfect for sculpting, but I use it for foundation.
Right.
I just think it's very similar to the Expert Face Brush, but it just has a slight angle, and I'm lazy, so I just like to use it for that.
Easy.
It's a little bit bigger, so it covers more surface area. I also like
This
the
is my favourite.
Miracle Complexion
So
Sponge.
this is actually a global bestseller, the Miracle Complexion Sponge.
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah, it's
There you go.
the bestseller. Used wet or dry, it is just fantastic. I can't really rave about it enough. You just have to try it to know how good
Okay,
it is.
right.
It's an epic brush.
Now, you are both obviously very good at makeup, but is there the one thing that you just can't get right? Or are you just that good?
I mean, well, I've learned to get things right. There are
Yes.
things that are harder than others because
Okay.
as I age, my eye shape changes slightly, and
Ah.
that's just something that's going to happen. You know, we've been doing YouTube videos for 8 years, and in 8 years, I've gone from being 32 to nearly 40. So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, things are going to change. So I've just learned to adjust my eyeshadow and my eyeliner according to where my eyes sit now. And I think that's something that people don't necessarily think about doing, is that you are going to have to change the way you apply your makeup, adjust things just slightly.
As you go.
I think also things are moving so fast and the trends is changing so fast. Try not to stick to trends because actually you want to go for what suits your face. But I will probably look back in 5 years at this and be like, what was I doing? Because I do other things. The one thing I would like to learn is how to change the depth of something, which is impossible. Like I hate that my eyes are so far back in. I can't do anything like that
I mean-
unless I have fillers. No, I'm not going to do that.
No. Well, I feel
So-
like if anyone could figure out a way around it,
We'll
it would
try.
be you guys.
You can cheat
Now-
it. I mean, you can cheat it, but in daylight you can see it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and this is another thing. You know, what you see in a photograph isn't always the truth.
Yes.
We make sure when we take a photograph, we're facing the light, so it's really bright and it bleaches it all out. So that's fine.
So there's a good tip for
Yeah.
you. Now, on the converse, is there something that you could do with your eyes closed, no mirror, like pros it like a winged liner, a smoky eye? Could you do that without any guidance?
Smoky eye, I probably could.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I could probably do a wing liner with no eye, on
With no
myself, with no,
Not looking.
yeah,
You could do that not looking?
probably,
That's pretty
yeah. I mean,
impressive.
like I do it every day, so
Yeah, I think
you know,
that's-
I probably could.
All right.
Probably.
Probably.
Don't test me
We're
on
not
it.
testing. But what we might do is we had a question on Instagram
Yeah.
that said one of the girls asked, what brushes should you use if you've got a combination complexion? Because she finds that sometimes she uses brushes that leave her face looking streaky, and other times the foundation clings to dry patches. So
I think that's probably not the brush. That's
It's
her
more the
prep of
product.
her skin beforehand.
Oh, okay. So what are your prep tips?
The prep is if she has, did you say she had dry skin?
Combination.
Combination.
Sorry.
Okay, then the reason that it's probably changing and going streaky in certain areas is because she needs to use a primer in certain areas. She might be using a moisturiser, or he might be using a moisturiser that's too strong, too rich, that it's not allowing it to set into the skin first. So where you get the oily T-zone, just pop a little bit of primer and less moisturiser in that area, or change your moisturiser.
Right, okay.
The brushes shouldn't do that. If they are, they need to be cleaned.
I mean, sometimes you find that you might get shiny during the day, and actually just putting a powder on top of that shine isn't going to be the most flattering result, because you have to blot the oil first.
Yes.
You know, if
Okay.
you're just putting powder over oil, you are going to get a streaky finish.
Right,
You've got to
okay.
blot the oil and then apply the powder.
Okay, that's
And if you don't
Okay.
have blotters, a great thing is to carry your sponge with you.
just
Clean
just
one.
sponge
Just-
as is.
Yeah, just to take away a little bit of excess oil and then powder over the top.
You're
So
right.
it will pick it up.
Very good tip. Now, another question that we had is, what is your top full coverage foundation?
At the moment, I really like the new Hourglass. Can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, the
This
one
is
in the
brand new.
triangle, really bad packaging.
Oh, it's like a stick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
a
stick,
big
and
stick one.
it is lovely.
It
It's
is
really
great.
super full coverage,
And it
but
doesn't
it's
look
just
it
lovely.
either, does it? It doesn't look it. It's a
Gorgeous.
great one.
So when it comes to like stick foundations, because I think some
Yeah.
people go, what are your tips for applying a stick foundation like that?
Wet sponge.
Wet sponge.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
on your face and then wet sponge.
Yeah, I use the stick. I just draw it on, you know, a little bit here, a little bit on the forehead, a little bit on the chin, and then I'll use a wet sponge, not soaking wet down,
Means damp.
and
Damp.
just work it into the skin.
Okay, right, okay. That's a good tip.
Where you need more coverage, you can just press with a sponge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so wipe for less,
Yeah.
press for more.
Perfect.
Because the sponge is damp, it's going to blend it beautifully, but not give you as much lay down. The more payoff you want from the foundation, use a foundation brush that's flat. It's going to give you the most payoff because you're wiping it onto the skin. The next amount of payoff, use something like this because it buffs it into the skin. So you're going to get a little bit more of a flawless foundation, but not as much payoff. And then this one,
And then that one.
wet.
Well, last question I'm going to ask you guys is, what do you think is the number one makeup trick that every girl should know? I know that's a tough one because you probably have thousands in your head.
Makeup tip. I think makes a massive difference to brush your eyebrows upwards. Makes a massive difference. Opens the eyes, gives you fuller looking brows, and makes it, especially if you're a mature person, because if you're 90s child, you would have plucked a lot of your brows away. So it instantly ages you and puts you into a category of when you were young.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So by actually brushing the brows up, it makes them fuller and bolder and makes you look younger.
I think my number one tip is learning to do a liquid or a gel eyeliner on your eye shape.
Yeah.
So it's going to be different on everyone, but if you have a slightly downwards turned eye, you're going to want to blend like a shadow or a liner from the lash line upwards at the corner to lift it. You know, if your eyes are very close together, you're going to skip the middle part. If they're far together, if they're far apart, you're going to apply more in the inside corners.
So there's no cookie cutter way.
No, there isn't, but people think that there is. But what you need to do is just assess what your eye type is and figure it out, because there is nothing more flattering than a black liner colour to your eye colour.
Well, thank you so much.
Our
It was so
pleasure.
lovely to meet you, and thank you for chatting with us. And hopefully, we'll see you back in Australia soon.
Oh, thank you.